Hey, what's up, guys? It's METAGAMESGX here, and this is going to continue our gameplay series into the new Justice Hunters format so we can figure out all the decks and what they do into the branded deck, and then also just showing off the Dracotail branded deck for the people who want to see that. This will be against Pure Canine. The Pure Canine is going to be a deck you can still see. I think it's going to be really good going forward after Dude because of their new support. And this is showing you guys how to play around the K9 card, so I still think this gameplay is super important. If you guys want to see more like this, though, give this video to 100 likes, and we'll upload another gameplay tomorrow of me against Pure Dracotail. So, yeah, guys, let's get right into it. So, this was against a viewer also, so that's always very cool. I draw the Rahu Dracotail, Triple Tactics Talents, Blazing Cartesia, Albion Shrouded, and then Dracotail Femina. He draws Mulcharmy Fulos, Droll Lockbird, Fulos, Canine Lantern, and the Shield of Millennium Destiny, or Dynasty. So this is kind of cool because this is essentially just a rank 5 extender for this deck. He doesn't draw the best hand, though, and he is going first, so I'm kind of lucky in that regard. So he ends up going Normal Summon Lantern, which, if your opponent has 2 more cards in the hands, like every other K9 card says, you can Normal Summon this card without tributing, since they're all level 5. Then if this card is in your hand, you can target one non-Pyro level 5 K9 monster in your graveyard and special summon both it and this card. So that's kind of cool. So it's basically like an activation from the hand to special summon one from graveyard in itself. So this is something you can like kind of stop the negation if you have something like a Branded Retribution or something like that. He does get the Shield of Millennium out, which I'm not going to be able to do anything here, so that's just basically a free level 5. When this card is a continuous spell, you can either pay 2,000 or reveal 1 Ankh, special summon this, and then add 1 Ankh to your hand. So it's kind of interesting. So he's just using that as literally a rank 5 extender, just not even searching the Ankh, obviously, because this doesn't search the Yugioh Temple. So here he goes into the K917 Ripper, which this is the K9 boss monster. This is what you will commonly see made off of the Izuna line when you hand trap your opponent and then they chain Izuna to make a rank 5. It's probably going to be K9 Ripper 90% of the time. Of course, they can make any other rank 5, but I think this one is generally the best into the new format because it's also an extender in the K9 decks. So it says you can detach 1 material from this card, add 1 K9 card from your deck to your hand, and then if your opponent activated a monster effect this turn, you can set 1 K9 quick play spell from your deck to your you can set 1 from your deck or graveyard. So, and then the more important floodgate-ish effect, the more important interaction effect is when your opponent activates a monster effect in the hand or graveyard quick effect, you can detach 1 material from this card, negate that effect. So basically, to play around the K9 cards, you just have to not activate cards in the hand or graveyard. And that's kind of hard for certain decks, right? Because if you use Dragontail Femina, that automatically triggers them. But that's why I kind of like Branded, because you don't trigger it with the Branded effects. So I'm lucky, though. He has to go K9 Ripper here for an Izuna, which is just going to be an interruption on my turn at this point for another rank 5 in theory, and he passes to me. He does have Droll, though, so I have to be careful. Obviously, I don't know that right now, but I do have Spriggan's Kit for top deck, so I do have a really good hand. Here, I am deciding on how to do this. Obviously, he doesn't have that good of a field, so I feel like this hand just rips apart this board no matter what. I go Shrouded, which is how I typically start my turns with Branded if I have it, unless I'm just like really afraid of losing to Droll, and even if I get Droll on this hand, I'm totally fine. Here, I'm going to send the Branded Retribution to the graveyard and then get my draw 1 off of Shrouded. He is going to decide to Droll me or not. He does Droll me, and that's fine here because I do have the Cartesia plus the kit to end up getting to the access to the Branded Fusion, but he does activate the Izuna here. So this is fine because I had so many cards in hand where, like, yeah, I could have just not triggered the Izuna, but at this point, I just wanted to bait it out, if anything, and then deal with it because I have the Talons, so obviously he will turn on my Talons at this point. Then he goes Izuna effect. This will send the Lupus. This is a very common play with any K9 deck, essentially, because Lupus will then be able to special summon itself from the graveyard and then conduct a quick effect Xyz summon if he so chooses. But he does actually let me go next, so that's kind of interesting. At this point, I'm thinking I do go Talents, though. Talents to take, so I can prevent him. I can either make him go into an Xyz or just break up his Izuna play here. So I'm going to just take the Lupus. He does not chain, so I don't get free rank 5. That's fine. And then here I'm able to play kind of with impunity because I've Branded Lost, and I go Rahu Dracotail. This is one of the best parts of running Dracotail with Branded, is that there's lots of synergies across the deck, right? Because Branded Lost is essentially an extender as long as you have a way to fuse and Dracotail cards fuse, so I'll be able to go into the Rahu Branded Fusion and then use that by sending the Femina to the graveyard for card effect off the Rahu, and then sending the Mooler so I can negate the Ripper on resolution. So here I go into the Altharion. I'll go Chainlink 1 Altharion to target the Femina and add it back to hand, and then I'll go Chainlink 2 Muller to set a Dracotail spell or trap, and then negate one face-up card on the field, which does not target, so that's really broken. So, and plus I'm also under the Branded Lost, and then I'm also able to trigger the Femina because I used it as a fusion material to also set. So I'll set another Rahu and then a Ketu. I don't have the trap in the main deck in this builds, as you guys can see, or else I would have probably set the trap over Rahu, and then I'm able to get the Femina. And he thought I targeted the Altharion, and I did not. And so he's going to resummon the Ripper, obviously. And then here, I'm thinking on what I'm doing. I do have the Ketu Dracotail, so I'm just going to use this right now to continue to break the board because he still has a monster on the field. So I can use the Ketu effect to fusion summon if I want to. And then here I just go normal summon Cartesia. Since I still haven't used my normal summon, I use Cartesia effect. With Branded Lost up, I'm just playing with impunity at this point. You really can't do anything, so I go into Cartesia, fuse off the Spring Ends Kit, and that will get me into the Grand Guignol because I still have the Retribution in the graveyard, so now I have to get to the Branded Fusion under Droll and Lockbird. So Grand Guignol is going to send the Saronir, since we've already used the Shrouded this turn, so we can connect to the Branded Fusion, and he's just going to scoop there because he has no out for a Branded Fusion, so we are going to go into the next game, in which I promise will be a more exciting game, of course. So game 2 starts. He ends up drawing Imperm, Ghost Bell, Canine X, Liberation, Chaotic Elements, and Disablaster. This is essentially just a free level 5. I've seen this in a lot of Canine builds. It's just a free level 5. And then this card, you can target one Canine Xyz you control, special summon. You basically get to rank up a Canine Xyz to a hand rip, essentially. And then you can destroy one card on the field, so that's pretty good. And then it also resets itself. And Chaotic Elements is obviously basically just the Rhoda for the deck that also gets to board break in the graveyard, which is very crazy. So he's going to go into Diablaster. I just give him the thumbs up because I have nothing at this point until he triggers my Droll. He's going to go into the Izuna. But since I know he searched the Izuna, I don't want to trigger the Droll and Lockbird, so I'm just going to let him do that. This is just how you play around the canine stuff. As you guys are going to see, he goes into the Lupus in graveyard and then has to rank 5 into a Canine Ripper. Although he would be able to do more when I have other cards, right? So now he goes into the Canine Ripper, detach 1 to search a Case of Canine, which is their continuous card, which says when this card is activated, you can add 1 Canine monster from your deck to your hand. Canine monsters you control gain 900 attack the turn your opponent activated a monster in the effector in the hand or graveyard. So essentially all these cards just get an additional effect if you activate a card in the hand or graveyard. If this card is monster effect. If this card is in the spell or trap card zone destroyed, you can set 1 Canine quick play spell from your deck or graveyard. So it just has some recurrence as well. So now he's going to be able to activate it and add another Canine. So this is what I'm talking about, where if I had drolled him, he wouldn't be able to get into the more extension. But at this point, he's going to go into the Lantern to special summon the Izuna, which is just another rank 5. So basically, the Droll just would have done so much more. So now he's going to make another rank 5 here, and he is going to... He's deciding on if he wants to rank 5 or not, but no, he's going to link off for the Moon of the Closed Heaven, which is crazy to me. I was not expecting that. So he does have Fiendsmith, and now he just goes full Fiendsmith line. So he goes into the Engraver, use the Requiem to then equip to the Engraver, and then make a Necroquip Princess. I was kind of wondering where the Lacrima is. This is kind of weird not running Lacrima, because usually Requiem into Lacrima is the thing, but I guess he's just using Necroquip Princess, and then he's going to target the Engraver in graveyard, and then special summon it, and he's going to have a rank 6 access, obviously, so he's going to go into the Wave King Caesar, which, as we all know, negates 2 summons, so that's pretty good. All things considered, he would have been able to do this, I think, no matter what, but he would have had to get rid of his Ripper if I had drolled him, so once again, just misplayed, and then he sets his 2 cards, and then passes to me. And so I draw Branded Opening for turn. This is a pretty good hand, all things considered, but I think the Wave King Caesar kind of walls me out, unfortunately, with this kind of hand. Like, if I just drew access to Branded Lost, I think it would be fine. I mean, I guess Branded Opening can get me there, so I do go Branded Opening here. I could have gone Deployment first, but obviously he's going to negate that with Caesar. So I go into Opening, and then I go into Aluber, so I can try to get the Branded Lost, but he does Imperm that, so if he didn't have Imperm, I think I was looking pretty good. And then I go into deployment, which he then negates with Caesar, right? Because that's why I didn't go deployment before Aluber, just to see what he would use or not, because I have 5 different summons, so I can bait the Caesar pretty easily, but just like I'm gonna be sacrificing card advantage. So then I go Ketu, which is also counting as a summon, so he's going to chain the Caesar there to prevent the search and potential summon, so that's pretty smart of him. I wouldn't have been able to fuse anyway, so I guess that's a pretty good bait. And then, actually I would have, but yeah, and then I'll go Branded Fusion. He does not have the Ash Blossom, so then I go into the Lubellion plus Albaz. He has 1 card in hand at this point, so without having Ash, I can't really predict on what he would have. Like, so I haven't seen the Ghost Spell yet, so then I go into Albion, and obviously the Ghost Spell would have affected me either way, so that's fine for now. I get Ghost Spelled on the Albion, so that prevents the fusion summon, since that does banish from the graveyard. I do tribute over the Albion for the Lubellion, so I can get the Branded Lost access at least for next turn. And here he's going to go into the K9 X-Force Liberation and then rank up into a Werewolf, which basically is a quick effect. When your opponent activates a card or effect, you can detach 1 material from this card and then banish 1 card from your opponent controls or from their graveyard, which does not target, so that's really good. Or you can banish 1 from the hand until the end phase, so this card's basically just a hand rip plus an interaction wherever, so it's a very broken card. He's going to just destroy the Branded Loss also off the Liberation, because on Resolution that does destroy, so in the end phase, I will go into the Albion. I will use the Albion effect to then search the Branded in red. Since I do have the Albaz in graveyard, I go into the Branded in red to at least get the Mirror Jade and clear his board advantage. But he is going to use the Werewolf to target and banish the Albaz, so that will completely just like shit on me. So once again, if I just had Droll, I'm pretty sure I won that game for the most part. So just lesson learned, even if you're going against pure K9, like I would probably Droll them. I mean, it just depends, because he could have Izuna'd me into Paradise Smasher, so I don't think it like mattered if I drolled him or not. Like, that's the thing about drolling a K9 player, even if it's like VS, like they're just gonna Paradise Smasher you if they have like their 2-card combo, right? And now we're gonna go into game 3. So yeah, once again, I think that game 2 was pretty avoidable loss if I had drolled him, but I don't know, it just depends with the Paradise Smashers. Okay, so he draws Case of K9, Fabled Larry, Case of K9, Raigeki, Chaotic Elements. I drew Nadir Servant, Brandon High Spirits, Albion the Shrouded Dragon, Quem, Nadir Servant. So this is a pretty solid going first hand. I side in the Nadir Servants over the Mulcharmies in this build, so that I have a better chance at playing through hand traps, right? Going first. Like, you don't want the Mulcharmy going first, right? Game 2 or 3. Here I'm going to go Shrouded Dragon to try to bait some hand traps. Obviously, I'm going to send the Retribution. I'm also going to chain the High Spirits, though, to send it to the graveyard. So I can get a Dark Dragon in the graveyard, because that's typically the best send for Brandon High Spirits. I send Titanclad. It's either this or Albion, just depending on the hand, obviously. I think Albion wouldn't have been bad either here, but I have Nadir Servant plus Quem, so I think it's like probably Albion no matter, or I mean Titanclad, just still fine. And so I'll search out the Cartesia, putting the Shroud in the graveyard, so I can now special summon the Cartesia if I wanted to, because I do have the Shroud in graveyard. I choose not to do that, surprisingly, though. Oh yeah, because I don't want to trigger a hand effect. Yeah, that makes sense. So I go Quem effect here, since I do have the Retribution in graveyard, sending the Branded Fusion. I'm like, great. So now we can go Retribution effect, targeting the Branded Fusion. And that's the thing about Branded is pretty nice into K9, is that you can forego like your hand effects a lot of the time and then just resolve your graveyard effects in the end phase, because all the K9 monsters need to be in main phase to use their triggerable abilities to like summon themselves and Xyz if your opponent activated a monster in the hand or graveyard. So a lot of the time, Branded, you're doing a lot, you're comboing in the end phase anyway, so you guys will see how I set that up. So now I will be able to special summon the Cartesia, even though I guess I'm not playing around the K9 at this point, but I have such like a strong hand. It is probably, I think this is a misplay though, because if he has the Izuna and then just makes an Omni negate, I'm kind of looking silly at the end of the day. So I do think that's a little bit of a misplay, but he doesn't have the Izuna. And then I go into the Branded Fusion, sending the Muller plus the Fallen of Albaz. So this will be a Dragontail line, so you guys will find this actually kind of interesting. So I go this, since I already have Albion access with Nadir, so there's like no reason to go into Lubellion, I think, besides to get a Mercurier. However, Muller can get me even more, right? So Muller is going to be able to set a Dracotail spell or trap, and if I had a monster in hand, I'd definitely go for the Rahu, so I could actually start generating even more Dragon Tail advantage, but here I just go simply for the Dracotail Flame to enhance my branded board already, because this is a spell negate on the field and I get to draw a card. So, you know, if I'm trying to set up a board that doesn't lose to Droplet or Called By with branded, Dracotail Flame is perfect. So that's why I love this card in branded for the most part. So I'll spin back the Lubellion plus the Albaz in the graveyard to go out to the Mirror Jade. And now I'm going to be able to go into the Cartesia effect and fusing off itself plus Quem, since I think I do have the second Quem, so I don't think that matters too much. I would probably do it anyway. And then Grand Guignol effect to send to the graveyard a Ido, because I have the Nadir Servant to send the Albion. Maybe if he had Ash, I mean, he would have Ashed that, so I think like Nadir is like fine to send Ido off of this. Ido is one of your best sends off of Guignol if you already have like full access to Albion and Titanclad in the graveyard. So now I'm going to go Nadir to send the Albion, the Branded Dragon, to the graveyard, and then search out a Fallen of Albaz off the Nadir Servant. And now I'm locked. A lot of people are like, oh, Nadir Servant sucks in Branded because it locks you, but it's only useful. It's useful towards the end of your combo. You don't use it at the beginning of your combo, right? So yeah, I go end phase Titanclad to trigger. That will get me an out of an Albaz. So yeah, I guess I am only running one Quem in this version. I've been back and forth on 1 or 2 Quem as always. I think I'm right now on 2. So yeah, I was like, need 2 Quem in chat. So I set the Branded Red off the Albion though to connect into the branded, or into the Sanctifier line. And obviously I have the Dracotail Flame, so maybe you're like, oh, this is pretty bad to put all your eggs in one basket with the Branded Red. And I mean, I do have the Guignol plus Mirror Jade, which gives me a layered end board, but I think the fact that Dracotail Flame is here for the Branded Red means he literally needs a Bestial to out this board, right? So, because he can't chain Droplet, right? Like, Dracotail Flame is going to be able to negate it. So, I will get the Cartesia back to hand. I mean, he could do Droplet, but he won't send a trap, right? Most likely. He draws Droll for turn, so that's pretty good for me. I do go, I don't know why I activated Dracotail Flame there. Yeah, what am I doing? Oh, yeah, no, I activated it on accident thinking that was my Branded Red. So now I go Branded Red, targeting Quem, and now I'm going to be able to just straight up lock, because this is the draw phase. I can make a Sanctifier, which is untargetable here. You know, sometimes this is bad to do in the draw phase because you don't want, like, your monsters to be impermed, but Sanctifier literally can't be impermed at this point, and we already have the Ido set up, so this is perfectly clean to do in the draw phase. Once again, he's going to need a Bestial to even interact with this, because I do have the Dracotail Flame. So I do summon the Ido, and I summon the Muller, because Muller will be able to give me an Altharion on my opponent's turn, and fuse, so that's pretty good. And then I give him the Ido. He goes main phase, and he has the Raigeki Chaotic Elements. And Raigeki, if this was Dark Hole, he would have an out, but I guess that's why people aren't going to be running Dark Hole over Raigeki. That's why I think the lock is so solid, because you literally need a Droplet or like a spell card that says Tribute to get out of the Ido, and most decks don't have that, especially right now. Like, there's no Snake Eye or White Forest. Chaotic Elements does target one monster your opponent controls and take control of it, so this doesn't really do it. But if it says you can add one, and then if you have 3 or more Pyro or Aquas in your graveyard, you can destroy one on the field. So if he gets to 3 Aquas or Pyros, he will be able to use Chaotic Elements to do that, but I think with that hand he really can't do that. So he goes Case of Canine. I'm gonna let that through. He gets the Jokel. He can't even, I mean, he can normal summon, I guess, but he's going to go Chaotic Elements here, which is definitely good for me because he can't pop. He searches the Izuna. So he's probably just planning on playing on my turn at this point. So I do go Muller to go into the Albaz plus itself. This is probably a misplay. I probably could just waited for him to do something here, but I just go into the Altharion, and I will target the Shrouded Dragon for follow-up, and then for some reason I don't trigger the Muller. Oh yeah, I don't trigger the Muller because I don't want the canine effects. So I'm not sure why I mean, that's fine. But now he goes Chaotic Elements and then Banish to target one monster your opponent controls, take control of it. And he's thinking on that. He's going to take control of the Mirror Jade. I'm just going to trigger the Mirror Jade. This is typically what happens when your opponent goes like target something on Mirror Jade to take. You just banish the Mirror Jade. Even with talents, you'll just banish the Mirror Jade a lot of the time. So I can at least get the Rinbrum in the graveyard with the Albaz and just resummon another Mirror Jade. And now he goes Raigeki. I don't have a branded opening in the graveyard to protect that, so that will resolve. And then he has to go into the end phase. And then in the end phase, I'm able to get the High Spirits plus the Cartesia back to hand. Or I'll have Cartesia. So I draw Fallen of Albaz for turn, and you know, with his hand, with the, it's actually not a bad hand, all things considered, if I have to get rid of the Ido. But the Ido, you know, that's why I think I like it against Canine, against Yummy, and Dragontail, right? They just have a lot of ability to swarm, quick effects, summon, so, like, on your turn. So, like, I think Ido is just, like, the perfect out for a lot of these decks because they just can't do anything, and you can just keep it there, essentially, and then just generate the advantage to out it. And here I go Fallen of Albaz, effect to fuse off the Ido into the Quem for the Lubellion, and here I just make sure that, you know, I know he has an Izuna, so as long as I don't trigger the Izuna, I'll be fine. I go Lubellion, discarding the High Spirits, and then I'm gonna go into the Mirage, or sorry, into the Mirage. No, I'm gonna go into the spin back Quem and the Albaz to go into the Albion, so I could try to go for more damage here. I'm like, I need to maximize my damage off the Albion. I do have 2 Albazes in rotation, so going Lubellion to Albion is like, that's the only time you're doing that is when you have multiple Albazes in rotation. So I do banish the Albaz plus the Titanclad, and now I get into the Borreload Savage Dragon. Actually, in this version, I might not have been running double Mirror Jade, but I felt like this card was still pretty good in this situation, and go Battle Phase, attacking for 5,500, and then I have to go main 2, tribute over for the Albion since I hadn't normal summoned. This is something that, because right, I don't have a Lubellion in the graveyard. I want to get the Albion in the graveyard so I can get a set on my opponent's turn. I've already used Retribution. However, I do run a second Retribution, so I'm going to set the second Retribution here, which is what I like in a 60 card build with Grass, especially just having the double Retribution. 1 to set and then 1 for follow-up, or double for follow-up, just makes it very insane. It's also a great discard, so I'm feeling pretty good here. I do go High Spirits, and then I pass it to him. He draws Fulos. He still has Droll, and then once again, as long as you don't trigger the Canine effects, their deck isn't doing that much. So, and in the end phase, I triggered my graveyard effect. He can't summon his Izuna at that point. So at this point, I know a lot of his hand. I know he has the Izuna. I know he has the Jokel, and he isn't, you know, he draws another hand trap for turn, so I'm doing pretty good. He searches, he does use Case of Canine again. I'm thinking here I use Dracotail Flame just because I know his deck doesn't have a ton of spells, right? And he probably would have had to top deck that or already have it, so I just felt like the Dracotail Flame was fine here. I didn't know if I was going to get a better opportunity, and then I spin back the Altharion. I think I was only running 1 Altharion in this build, so, you know, Dracotail Flame is very good for spinning back Altharion for the grind game. I draw a Quem for follow-up. He normal summons Lurie, and at this point, I go Borreload, popping the Albion plus the Lurie. This is, you know, classic Branded. If they stick a Lurie, you just remove it, right? And here he can go K9 Jokel to normal summon, or no, he uses that to special summon by revealing the Izuna. This is the special summon effect from graveyard. And I do Branded Retribution. That I literally have to Retribution that because I don't think there's like any other like time I can do this, like, basically, and I still haven't really triggered anything. So I think the Izuna here, you know, the Retribution destroys the Jokel here, gives me follow-up, and puts my Sanctifier and my Lubellion back into my deck for extra grind game. So that's why I do love the Retribution for that reason too. And then he just concedes here and says GG, well played. So yeah, guys, that was just kind of to show you what to do against K9, aka don't trigger the hand trap effects by using a hand effect or a graveyard effect. That's why I think pure Dracotail is worse than Branded, because pure Dracotail really plays into the Ripper really hard and Izuna. So that's a big issue for that deck, but Branded doesn't, right? You can do your full Branded combo without triggering Izuna. So when you know you're facing off, especially against pure K9 or even K9 VS, I think it's pretty smart to do your best to maximize your combo without triggering the Izuna. Especially on their own turn, right? That's why I like drolling a lot of the time, even though I could droll that game too. I think I was going to lose to Paradise anyways, because he would have had enough level 5s to make a Paradise anyways. So yeah, guys, that was the game against Pure K9. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want to see more gameplays like this, leave a comment down below. And once again, if this video gets you 100 likes, we will do another gameplay against Pure Dracotail coming up, guys. And make sure you're subscribed. We're on the road to 20,000 subscribers. We stream every week, Monday and Friday. Daily videos, shorts, and of course, guys, I love you all. Stay safe. Check out my website if you want to help support the channel. And with that being said, see you guys.